So, this is gonna be like my first venture into. This is like not even week one of the Artist Way. Like I'm gonna start week one tomorrow on Thursday, which is crazy. I know it's not a Sunday. I know that what's her name, Julia Cameron. She recommends doing it Sunday to Sunday. Normally I would, but I kind of don't want to wait to get into it. Like, I think it feels, I know that that's very, like, I think that it's important to establish rituals, and doing it Sundays to Sunday was super helpful for me. So, I don't know. Maybe the next time you see this video, it'll be a Sunday, and I will, you know, will have given into starting on a Sunday. But for now, I just read the, like, intro chapters of the book. And so I figured I would kind of start here because I think that there's like I had some questions emerge, and this is not my first time doing the Artist Way. And so I think that, like, for me, I very much like I want to be sure that I am like addressing those questions when they come up for myself. Not even because I'm like their doubts or whatever, but I think because I've had problems doing the Artist Way before, I genuinely, and because I'm coming at it with a different mindset, like everything in my life has changed. Like, truly, I'm not joking. Every single thing in my life has changed. And so I'm coming at this with a new perspective, a new definition of like what it looks like to be creatively stifled and like be stifled in my life and like want to share my creativity with the people I love and all of those things, and like being held back by that inner censor. I think I've really, really clashed with my inner censor. Uh, I think the last year of therapy for me has been, unfortunately, not even addressing the inner, not addressing, but like the last year for me has been like me realizing how strong my inner censor is in my life. Like, it is actually probably the voice I listen to the most, and so I think that rereading that intro, especially because it's not a short intro, like I think it's important to just like take the intro on, talk through the things that I took note of, and then either tomorrow or Sunday, you'll get like a week one, breakdown of like what we're gonna do. But I also wanted to just start getting in the habit of doing the morning pages before it's actually like mandatory to. So that's kind of what I'm gonna be doing. So I really don't want these videos to be super long. I just want them to be helpful, specifically for me, and for anyone, especially anyone Black who's doing the Artist Way, because I think Dochi's story is so inspirational, and is a direct manifestation of the time and energy that, and the suffering and the like all of those things, the feelings of overwhelm, like all of those things. Um, and you know what? The reality is, I'm 27. I'm going to be 28 in a month. And, like, I genuinely think that it's less than a month now. I genuinely think that my biggest fear is that I start going into a Saturn return moment and I don't have the tools to actually catch the ball that's being thrown at me. Like, if these next 3 years are going to change my life and I will become more comfortable with who I am in 3 years, and like a year from now, 2 years from now, like overwhelming levels of change will be applied, so much pressure will be applied to me. My biggest fear is that I will not survive that. And that is so sad, but it is just the truth. Because the reality of it is, I don't want to live a life that's not creative. I don't. And maybe that's concerning to hear if you're someone who loves me, or even if you don't know me. But I genuinely don't want to live a non-creative life. There's no world in which I'm just going into the office and coming home, and I know that creativity could be expressed anywhere. Creativity is like drawing art at the top of your notes for class, or like um, if you're in charge of the staff meetings or whatever at your job, and like you really work hard, like every month there's a staff meeting and you really work hard to make sure there's some sort of cake or like billboard or like a billboard, like a staff board with acknowledgments or something, and like you go all in, or even just like making posters for a band. Like art can be, and creativity can be channeled and harnessed anywhere. But I know that I am not meant to live a mundane life. And the amount of artists and writers that I know and love who said, like, it was this or nothing. Like, I write because I don't live unless I'm writing. Like, I couldn't, at the end of the rope, at the end of my time, at the lowest of lows in my life, I had to write. Um, that's kind of where I'm at, which is like a lot, I think, to say out loud. But I just know a lot of people, like, I grew up in the church. I know a lot of people who were like on fucking Broadway. Like, people who were on Broadway and felt the calling of God to like give it up, and now they're just doing work. I'm not trying to downplay what they're doing, like whatever. But like if you're a child, like me being a young kid, what is going on with this? Oh, it's just a wall. Okay, there's a picture of my parents, and like back over there, and it looks like there's like a little like scoop out, volume out, but it's actually just the corner of this, the way that they took a picture of this wall. That is just it's fine, whatever. But yeah, that is not knocking their hustle. That is a complete, like, they chose that. That is their life. They are proud of it. They're not frustrated or sad at all that they were on Broadway and now they're singing at a church. That's not the issue. I think about when it comes to the scope of my life, if I got all the way where I wanted to be and then turned around, I would need to be 150% confident that that's what I wanted to do. Um, but I need to get to that place first, like you have to have that control of your life to say, like, I'm going out as far as I possibly can. I'm going to make it in my own eyes, and then I'm going to turn around and make it and redefine my definition of making it. And I don't know. I think that my inner censor is extremely judgmental, is extremely harsh, is extremely critical, and extremely loud, like loud as hell. And so hopefully, as I go over some of the things that I was writing down and some of the fears that I have going into this whole process can sort of like massage out the knots of doubt and disbelief and like pain that comes along with not living a creative life and not nurturing your inner artist, and yeah, all of those things. So we should get into it. This intro was kind of, it's wild because this isn't my first time doing the Artist Way. This is like my third time, actually. So I got this copy of The Artist Way from Half Price Books. And what's interesting is there is another person's notes in here. So like on just about every page, there is a smattering of highlights and underlines, and some cheesy ass like Christian, like I can tell whoever, not cheesy ass Christian, I can tell whoever was like whoever this belonged to before me, which they did sign their name in this, so I know who they are, and I don't think I'm gonna reach out to them. Like I think that'd be crazy, but they like truly actually like, I don't know. I think they got what they wanted out of this book, which I'm happy about, and I'm happy that it came to me next. But it's wild because the things that they underline and the things I underline are completely different, because I think that they were looking at, maybe they were going through this with a group. I don't know, but they are very like faith driven. Like they do a lot with religion, and they're looking at this as like, my creativity is sourced from God, and it's just very funny to see the difference between what I highlight and what they highlight. But yeah, the first thing that I kind of wrote down that I was like, whoa. Think of the universe as a sea. Opening to your creativity changes you from something bobbing in the ocean to something more functioning, more conscious, and more cooperative. Or a more functioning, more conscious, and more cooperative part of that ecosystem. that I think is like, I think I fear that word functioning, but more conscious, I want more cooperative part of that ecosystem, I want, because I feel like I'm constantly fighting against my sensor, and I feel like I'm constantly fighting against my own creativity to like get my ideas out. Like it feels like they are behind a wall. And anytime I think about like, oh, I kind of want to write a sketch, or I kind of want to write this, or I wish I could get into poetry, I feel like there's like a huge wall between me saying it and actually doing it. And it's like whenever I actually get a script done, it is a huge mountain of success because I can never finish anything, and because not never finish anything, but it's just much harder for me to start, and also finish. Um, those are the hardest parts of things. So, yeah, I like the idea of, you know, sort of opening up my creativity and my flow. Um, talks about seeing more synchronicity because as we change, the universe furthers and expands that change. I have seen this happen and I want this to happen for me. Like I have had so many friends where they're like, "Oh, I really really like I one of my close friends um I don't think she would mind me talking about her, but she was preparing to go to law school. Um and there are a couple of people in my life where I'm like, "You're the smartest person I know. Like you are that girl. She is that girl." And like when she was preparing to go to law school, like she is so smart and so capable and so like accomplished. Like that was fine, but she was like, I hate this. And she started realizing what the day, we were just talking about this, which is why I'm bringing it up. She was like, I realized what the day to day would be like, which is a lot of reading and writing, and I like to be more active with what I know. And I was like, that is true. Like that makes a lot of sense. And she like pivoted. She decided not to go to law school, not to take the LSAT, and like within a week, or like a short span of time, I do think it was a week. Like her dad noticed like a history teacher opening at our old high school, and it just happened to get the ball rolling for like, okay, well, how do I start doing that? Because that actually sounds much more akin to like the path that I see for myself using history and talking about history and psychology and these things, and like black history. Like I want to be active, and this is the kind of thing I find joy in. And it was like the universe immediately responded to her making that decision, and what she needed was like to take a bet on herself. And I really aspire to find that. It feels like I'm pulling a lot of levers, and it's like none of them are to the actual thing yet. And I don't know if I'm mistaken. And this is kind of what the book is saying, is like over time you'll find synchronicity. But she's not the only person in my life that's happened to. Many people that I've been friends with and people that I like look up to talk about like I was doing one thing, and then one day I turned and I pulled the right lever, and suddenly the right door opened. It feels like being in a huge like library or a keep, and there's a secret door that you don't know about, and you like walk up, and just because you're curious about one specific book that has to do with whatever you're like investigating, you like pull that book back, and suddenly there's like a like the secret door reveals itself, and you only have to try once. Like I know a couple of people personally that's happened for, and I know a lot of other people that it's taken time for. But it just feels like I do feel like I'm genuinely pulling a lot of levers, and throughout all of the lever pulling, I still haven't figured out which one is mine. So I think I'm excited to see synchronicity. I think I'm excited to sort of like create this creative alliance with myself. Um, the basic principles I really like, but I tend to reject a lot of the ones that are like, my creativity comes from a source, a divine source. And I don't know why. I think she talks about like, don't let the word God like stop you from using this book. It's actually not even just that. I think that, and Dochi goes through and says like, if God is a divine creator and therefore has access to like endless divine energy, and I am connected to him, then that means I by by the law of, you know what I'm saying, like by the transitive law, I am connected to, you know. And it's like I see that and I love that, and I think that that works for her. I'm gonna have to see how I feel, because I worry, like, if your creativity comes from someone else, that person can in fact meter how much, like, if you are going to a watering hole, like, there is the possibility that, like, the water is dry or the water is low or whatever. And I don't know, or like that person says, like, well, now you have to start paying $5 to get a water bottle here. It happens at every great establishment. Suddenly you have to start paying more, or they start taxing things differently, or like they have to up the prices, like the places you know and love, eventually, in order to stay afloat, they have to accommodate those things. And I think that, especially in an age where fascism is on the rise, being black is a beautiful quality, but also one that can cause you to have doors shut in your face. Like, as much as I would like to believe that there is a source from which endless creativity can flow, I think it will be harder to be creative, and therefore, like, the idea of this creativity coming from a source means every time that it shifts, every time the wind blows the wrong way and suddenly, like, I'm living in a city where there are no other black creatives, like, that doesn't mean my creativity stays the same. It actually means, like, I have to recalibrate and figure out a new angle at getting back to my divine creativity, because now I'm in a situation where that creativity is challenged. Like, that's even down to, like, what if you are extremely creative but nobody ever looks your way, nobody calls you funny, nobody calls you smart, all of those things, like. And I guess that the whole point of this is, like, you should be able to find your own, like, that you should be able to find it without external validation. But I think I just worry about, like, connecting myself to a source, because that source might run not dry, but they might start to change the boundaries and limitations of how much creativity you can have at any point in time. Whatever. Maybe I'm just being a miser, or maybe I'm just being negative. I don't know. I'm depressed, so, like, it comes with the territory. But I thought that the rules were good. The principles were good. I love number one. I love number six. Um, the refusal to create is self will, or the refusal to be creative is self will, and is counter to our true nature. I agree. I agree entirely. It makes me sad when people say, like, I wish I was creative. And I'm like, it's actually natural to be creative. Like, I'm sure you're creative. You just, whenever people see me doing stuff and they're like, oh my God, you play piano, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. Like, it's not even, I'm not even trying to be like, oh, I don't, like Demi Lovato, like, I don't know, like, sing us a song, Demi. I just don't have any lyrics written. It's not a bashful sort of, like, I'm deflecting in hopes that people actually, like, pick me to perform whatever. It's genuinely like I don't see some of the stuff that I do as creative, but other people see it as hyper creative, ultra creative, creative in general. I think a lot of people are more creative than they let on. Um, okay, I need to speed through this. Pick what appeals strongly, and also the things I'm most averse to, and leave the neutral stuff. I will be doing that. I'm a hater through and through, so if I love something, I'll do it, and if I hate something, I'll do it. Anything that, I think neutrality scares me, so don't worry, I'm already there. There's no quick fix for instant pain-free creativity. Creative recovery or discovery is a teachable, trackable spiritual process. Thank God for that. I didn't even realize that's what I wanted out of my process, like a pain-free creative process, like, or discovery process. And I think that's just because my life is very laden with pain right now, which is like, it's just where I'm at. Um, I wrote down, we've squandered our energies by investing disproportionately in the lives, hopes, dreams, and plans of others. Yeah, they, like, she talks about, like, the imagery that came to me was, like, wrapping Play-Doh around a toy car. Um, and because she talks about detachment, attachment, withdrawal, and how we feel like withdrawing from other people's lives is, like, we associate it with, like, being withdrawing from, like, caffeine, or like withdrawing from alcohol or whatever, like going cold turkey, and like that fear of the lack and how the lack can kill you. And it's like, no, actually it's more of withdrawal of like, you wrap Play-Doh around a truck, it's not supposed to be there, so now you have to peel away the layers of Play-Doh from the truck and hope you get everything, because you shouldn't have put it there in the first place. You're gonna realize I'm really bad at analogies, in that my brain comes up with things that I probably shouldn't. Like that's an inside thought for sure. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I do definitely think that that's where I'm at. I think that in my mind, I thought that that was a level of care, and I think that to me, it matters a lot when people say like, I'm doing this because I know that you like it, or like, I'm doing this because I know that you enjoy this thing, and so let's go do this thing. And what I will say is that I did that to the point of like moving my entire life and uprooting everything I believe, and not everything I believe, but uprooting a lot of things about myself. Um, and that's to everyone. That's to my parents. That's to like my entire family. Like I have become imprinted upon by everyone else, because I'm so like, even I have a dog, and I wanted a cat originally, and I wish I could plug his ears as I say this, but he doesn't know English. Well, he does know a little English, but whatever. Um, I have a cat, or I wanted a cat originally, to celebrate my first big girl job. I wanted a cat, but everyone in my family is allergic to cats. So I decided to, and a lot of my close best friends are allergic to cats. So I was like, they'll never be able to visit me, and I want people to be able to visit me. And so I was like, okay, well, I will find a hypoallergenic dog instead. And I did. And he was so much more responsibility. I've never had a dog before. So he was so much more responsibility than I was originally, like, I was used to. And he is my best friend, and he's my baby. And he's wonderful, and he's sleeping right beneath me right now. And he has turned into my, like, ride or die, love him down bad. But I fully got a pet, an entire different animal, because I was like thinking about how everyone else was going to feel. Meanwhile, my brother, like a month after I got this dog, just brought a cat home. He is allergic to cats. He's allergic to cats. He loves them, but he's allergic to cats. Mom and dad allergic to cats. He's living in their house, and he brought the cat home. So, and they're living with him. Neo's around. He's around somewhere. He's living his best life. They love him. They've like changed their entire house and their entire routine to accommodate him. And that is like the biggest example of like what I have been willing to do for other people. And, I think that my biggest lesson is like, that doesn't make me altruistic. That doesn't make me a good person. So I just need to actually excavate this part of myself, and excavate this like overinvestment in other people's lives, and figure out how to meter that and still support people endlessly without putting my Play-Doh all over their car. Morning pages, I actually really enjoyed morning pages a lot, so I don't have any problems with that. The censor brought up again, yes, this nasty internalized voice. It is not a voice of reason, which I need to meditate on. It is not a voice of reason. It helps break the idea that creativity is tied to mood, which is a trap I've fallen into in the past year. Get us to the other side of our fear, negativity, and beyond the censor, and then lead us out of despair and towards constructive change, which I love. The artist date, I need to actually plan that for next week. I need to figure out what I'm going to do. This week is a wash because I don't have a car, and that's just reality. I live in a place where there's really not a lot of places to walk. I can maybe do a picnic outside, but it is burning up outside, and there is smoke kind of everywhere right now. So, we'll see. that is the whole thing. Maybe that's more incentive to start on Sunday. But yeah, I think the last thing that I wrote down was, art is born in attention. Its midwife is detail. And you know what? I don't really know what that means, but I've been rereading the paragraph, and we're going to figure it out together. That being said, I think that's everything for this week. I do think I'm going to start on Sunday. Now that I've taken time away, it's been about 18 minutes since I said that. And so I'm a new me. And so now I get to sort of like breathe and meditate on these things and try to figure out what my next week artist date is going to be. But yeah, thanks for sitting through this. This is hopefully going to be fun. All right. Bye.